So there are many interesting statistics out there as to what pertains to the direction of where the world is heading right now in modern society. So I found a couple that I'm going to be going over with you today in today's episode. Welcome back to the 365 podcast. My name is Matthew. I make a podcast episode every single day for 365 days. Today is episode 148, and for today, I'm just going to make it a little bit interesting. So, just to be clear, all of these stats and stuff I got from Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom's reading list, which is like he sends like emails, and at the bottom of the emails he has like some interesting facts that he puts down there. So I've gone through a few of those that I've found over the last few weeks, and there's some interesting statistics in there. So if the stats are wrong and if some of the things that are in there are wrong, don't blame me, right? But it's just for all intents and purposes I am just kind of taking the stats from where he took them basically, and I'm going to give my own take and my own opinions as to why it is what it is basically. So let's get right into it. The first statistic: 67% of Gen Z would rather have a good night's sleep than sex. Okay, I already messed that up. They would prioritize a good night's sleep over sex, if that makes sense. All right, we got it. We're in there. So I'm absolutely one of them. I'm gonna be honest, but it's actually like very sad because the reason why this is a huge statistic is not because Gen Z all of a sudden are so focused on their health, or they've become, or Gen Z are such devout Christians that they want to wait till marriage to have sex, so they're not having sex. I think that's what I am. I would say that that's where I fall under. But the vast majority of other people, the reason why they're not having sex is because they're just like not going out. They're not socializing as much. They're not meeting and talking to women as much. They're not willing to. Like, they are unfortunately like a lot of incels. Like, they are weak men. I think that is the real reason why a lot of Gen Z are not having sex, because there's weak men and women that don't align with the weak men, and I think that causes such a frustrating dynamic that, if you were to say, okay, I'd rather have sleep, I think everyone loves sleep. So if you're comparing sleep to sex, people have a good night's sleep. And I personally love a good night's sleep personally. Like, well, what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to figure out how to be in bed early and wake up at a good time, not super late. Right now I'm in a bad place where I have to sleep 10 hours a day, 10 hours a night, and I still don't really feel energized. I'm in a bad place. So I have to try and figure out how I can be in bed earlier, which is the first step, and then make it so that I have actually like a good night of sleep. I'm still working on that. Obviously, I'll update you. This little sidebar. But obviously, I love sleep, and I optimize for my sleep. I try my best to have good sleep. But this isn't everyone in Gen Z. I think the main underlying reason why this stat is so daunting is because of the fact that people are going to less social events. People are talking to women less, and the pool of men are just weaker. And whether it be weak in the sense of like literally physically weak, like skinny or overweight, or weak in terms of the mind. Like, I know people around me that it's like, you're single for a reason. For me, maybe I'm also single for a reason. Maybe I also fall into that group. Maybe. But I personally don't see, because I'm a God-fearing man, and I'm a Christian man, and I have deeper reasons as to why I don't want to engage in sex. But I think in culture, sex is viewed as a positive thing because it shows that men and women are coming together, they're loving each other, even if there are some, even if, in my opinion, it's unholy, and it's definitely not, like doing one night stands and stuff like that. Like, I don't advise that personally. But in society, it's generally viewed as a positive thing because it's showing that men and women are coming together. And you said that, like, 67%. That's a huge number, man. That is 2/3 of all Generation Z would rather sleep than have sex. And you could probably like extrapolate that number to say that maybe at least half of Gen Z don't have sex at all. And that is daunting, because that is where you've kind of moved it too far in the other direction, in the sense that, like, now you can't have sex, but like, you're not going to be mating, you're not going to be having babies and reproducing to build better generations to come. And the birth rates obviously being so low, and you can just look at those statistics, tells you all you need to know about like kind of where society is headed, and it's not a good direction. And unfortunately, it's not because people are waiting till marriage. It's because they literally just can't get sex. It's not that they're choosing to. They just can't get sex, and that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem going forward. And I'm not gonna be out here. I'm not gonna be out here trying to come up with a solution because I technically fall into that group of people. Obviously, I do because I love sleep and I'm waiting for sex till marriage. But still, like, I think it's definitely a huge problem that this stat is so alarmingly high. And a future stat later in this episode will kind of also illustrate, and I'll tie it back to this statistic. It will also illustrate some of the problems with the lack of sex, let's say. So stat 2, also related, in New York, some dating events charged women $100 and men $0 to attend. But the attendance ratio was still 3-1. So there were 3 women for every 1 man. And literally it was free for guys. I don't know. I haven't seen specific names of these things, so I can't really prove it is true. But these stats have kind of been out there, like on Instagram is really where this statistic popped up. So, take it with a grain of salt. But if this is actually happening, like, we gotta go to New York, man. Like, this is crazy. It's 3-1. 3 girls for every 1 guy that is at these events, and girls have to pay $100 and men have to pay 0. Men have it for free, and they still choose to not go. Is it because, like, the quality of women is just not good? Is it just because there are not enough single guys, or is there not enough straight guys? Are there not enough guys that are willing to go out and socialize in that way? Are there too many guys that just want to stay home and would rather stay home than go out and socialize, even if it's free? I honestly couldn't really say. It is probably like some big concoction and combination of all of those possibilities. And it's sad, man. It's sad. I don't know. Like, maybe it's just like, maybe that's just not a thing in New York, but New York has 10 million people in the city. More than that, I think. It's a big freaking city, and you're telling me that, like, you can't get a girl with a guy paired up? It's very interesting, and it's a very weird one. It's one that I'm not really sure about, because you would think New York would be like the perfect city to have some just chaos, right? Some craziness, right? Some partying, right? To try, men and women to come together. You would kind of idolize and symbolize New York with that kind of like a culture, because it's just such a big city. So the bigger the city, the more the people, the more the chaos, and that's just how it is. But then you see this statistic, however true it might be. It probably is even if it's not true, it's probably a symbol still going to the fact that many women still want to go out and socialize and party and have a good time, but a lot of the guys are kind of falling into their shells and staying isolated in their houses. And that's a big, big problem. And I think it goes back to the first one and I'm going to speak for the guys. I can't speak for the girls, but I definitely know for a fact that for the guys, it's because there are a lot of weak men out there, and a lot of guys that are just trapped inside of their basements and socially isolated all of the time. So they don't even want to go out. They don't even want to leave their house. And when they do, it's just like once in a while, or it's just to go with their small circle of people, without actually like expanding the amount of people they know and doing new things and unique things. I think I personally fall into that sometimes, but I'm really, really trying to make an effort to do better in that regard. But I think that really is the truth as to why women are probably more open to going out. Whereas guys, it's free, dude. It's free. You can literally for free walk into a place and just talk to a bunch of girls and see if there's the one for you. There might not even be the one for you, but it's just to go out there and talk to people and socialize and engage and try and find the one, however possible that is with like an organized dating thing. But even still, they would choose to not go to the point where there are 3 girls for every 1 guy. Like, I envy that one guy that is there and has 3 girls lining up to see him because there's no other options. Like, that's what we're living in. This is like the society we're living in right now. And I can beat the drum about this all day long, but it's like Like, just get out of your house, right? The biggest problem is because of social media. It's because of video games. It's because of all of these things that are designed to be addictive, to keep you inside, to keep you isolated, to keep you online instead of in person with people. And all of these things have kind of poisoned the minds of the youth, of Generation Z, because it's exactly the reason why you have this statistic. There are 3 women for every 1 guy at these dating events, and it's really, really disturbing, and it's really concerning for the future of the world and the future of men and men's mental health and generations to come in America. These are American statistics. I imagine that in Canada it's probably similar, but it's probably not as bad because again, America has 10 times the people, so they also have 10 times the problems. That is the difference between America and Canada. But so it's probably not as bad here, but I think ratio wise it probably isn't that far off. Like, if Toronto were to run dating events where they would charge women $100 and men zero, I think that there would be enough guys there. I think that there would be enough guys there. But then again, I'm also biased. But also, you have to think about the reason why they're charging women 100 and men zero is because they can't get guys in the first place. So they're making it free to try and attract guys, and the guys still won't come. So it's not like it was like $100 per person and there was a ratio of 3 girls and 1 guy. That would be a little more understandable. But they tried that and it didn't work. It's implied that they tried that and there were even less guys showing up. So they made it free and still not enough guys showed up. I hope that it's not. I hope that that type of a thing wouldn't happen in Toronto in the first place, because there would be guys that showed up even if it was $100. That's what I think. But I could be very biased. But I still think the fact that this is happening in New York shows that it really is a big problem for the dating scene. And it really is a big problem for men and women to get together. I don't know what it is. Is it the division in the world? Is it the isolation? I think it's a combination, but what level of it, I honestly don't know. All I would say with regards to these statistics and the ones to come is you just have to get out. Just get out. Socialize. Try and leave your house every day. If you can leave your house every day, even if one day it's just like a walk, or one day it's just to go play some soccer, to go to the gym. If you can leave your house, leave the 4 walls, leave that fence and gate, and walk outside of the parameters of your property at least once a day. If more than once a day, that's even better. But at least once a day, then you can slowly get yourself out more, and then you can start doing more unique things, more fun things, and then you can start to actually socialize with people, and maybe you'll find someone that you can be with romantically, or you can find just more friends in general. That's what I would say personally with regards to these problems that are happening. So it's really daunting. So I mean, just sit with that statistic. I don't want any of you to be a part of this statistic. So I would say definitely go out there and try and meet new people. So here's a different statistic. It's going to be a different one. Female immigrants are positively associated, whereas male immigrants are negatively associated with life satisfaction for the native population. This is a quote from Rob Henderson. He's a guy that's like, he definitely drops like a bunch of like crazy tidbits and stuff. Again, I don't know where he gets these kind of stats from, but it's interesting. And the reason why this would be is obviously, like, it's a very simple thing on the surface level. You can see more males will be taking the jobs of the native population. So of course you're going to see like a lot of complaining and a lot of negative association, of course, right? And maybe the males are also taking the native population's women themselves. But the women coming in, it gives opportunity for the native population to find a woman. And if it's, like if they're attracted to that type of a woman, depending on where they're coming from. Immigration, I think, is a very interesting but big issue right now, because there's this whole like Muslim versus Christian dynamic, and there's this whole Muslim immigrants coming in and countries allowing the Muslims to like go and practice their faith openly, whereas like you have this situation in the UK where there was this girl who was praying in the corner by an abortion clinic and she got arrested or she got fined or whatever. And you look at these things and you kind of look at it as being a little bit concerning, but it's not necessarily the immigrants' fault that the governments are set up for them to benefit. That's the government's fault. The immigrants actually, like, they are doing what they need to do to survive. So that's fair enough for them. But how that affects the satisfaction of the native population, of course the males are negatively associated because they're taking jobs, because they're living off government pensions in some extreme cases, right? They're taking people's like school positions, and they're taking some of our women. And that's And that's, well, like, it makes me sound like this nationalistic patriotic guy, which I'm not. I'm just trying to speak from like a truly emotionless perspective, that this is why people would be unsatisfied with male immigrants coming in versus the female immigrants. There doesn't really seem to be anywhere near as much downside. It just gives opportunity for more people to mate with, and as we saw with the last two statistics, that seems to be a problem. So maybe if there are more girls here, especially if there are people that are attracted to them, and they can mingle and get along with each other, if we can truly make that happen in society, and it's going to be a cultural shift, not necessarily like just say like a law. A law's not going to change it, but a cultural shift. The women would absolutely be a positive thing, because you don't really see many drawbacks to it. You only see the positives, which is the fact that it gives more mating options for the guys. Just truly from an emotionless, logical perspective, that's why this statistic makes sense. The whole immigration thing, I'm not going to get too deep on that. I want to talk about it more in depth in a future episode. But I think that is the dynamic that we're seeing. The native population are seeing these immigrants coming in and being a little bit reckless and not really following the rules and trying to live how they lived in their societies, coming into our society. But the problem is our society allows that to happen. It's not necessarily their fault. They're just trying to make a good life for themselves. I believe that. The vast majority of them are just trying to live a good life for themselves. And unfortunately, because of the way our structures and governments are set up, it promotes that. It promotes them to come in, and we just allow millions of these immigrants to come in, legally or illegally. They don't really care. Obviously, in America, this was a huge topic of contention. And was it to buy the votes, or was it just to poison the society, add crime? I don't know. I honestly don't know. You look at it and you say that it's just very weird that you would let so many illegal people come in, specifically like America through the Mexican border, but in Europe, it has so many issues like that as well. You can search up the situation that's happening in Sweden right now with the immigrants that they have allowed into their country, and how crime has only gone up as a result. So, so is immigration good? I think it is, but I think the rules by which they are allowed to play the game are way too heavily favored for the immigrants, and they're just playing the game. They're just using the laws that our governments, the native populations governments, allow, and that they have. So it's not the immigrants' fault. They're just trying to do what they can. But of course, the native population would be super unsatisfied, and we put the blame to the immigrants, when in reality, the problem is not necessarily them. It is the governments that allow these situations to happen. So would I say that this quote makes sense? I actually say that this would be like a very, very, very viable statistic that actually makes sense. It actually adds up. If once I just like logicize it, which I just did, as to why male immigrants produce a negative feeling in the native population, and the females produce a relatively positive one. I think that's why. So here's the next stat. 1% of the American population is responsible for 60% of the crime. 60%. And of that 1%, the vast majority of them are from minority populations. So what does this mean, right? It means that like crime is proportional to it really is proportional to those that like don't have anything else. The vast majority of crime is because people have fallen into bad cultures, drug cultures, gang cultures, even like mafia cartel cultures, if you're going one step further. Or they're just like desperate, and they just are in the trenches, literally. Like they're in poverty and they're just desperate. They have to find a way out somehow, so they turn to crime. So the minorities are unfortunately the ones that suffer from this the most, just statistically. This is not a racist thing for you liberal guys that are out there already arguing against it. It's literally just a statistic, and I'm trying to break it down. But that's crazy. 60% of the crime. The other 40% is just, it's just plain old stupidity, I would imagine. It's just plain old, like, guys just being stupid, and maybe, people just, or like psychopaths and narcissists that really like take it one step too far, or a few steps too far. But that 60% is really what we're focusing on. The fact that much crime is spread from such a small amount of the population, it really does tell you that, and this is again American statistics, so it's probably not as bad in a bunch of other countries, but it's still, the ratios are probably pretty similar, because all you got to base it off of is this statistic, which these are American statistics. Is it because there's no punishment? Is it because there's no justice, so people can be repeat offenders? Is it because there's just bad cultures for those communities and there's no out for them? There's no real way for them to get out? Like, is it because as an African American person in a marginalized community, you either have turn to drugs and street crime, or go to school where's school going to take you anyway nowadays, right? Is that the reason why you just kind of end up going to crime, where a lot of these people go into lives of crime? Or is it because of the immigrants? Are the immigrants involved? Are a lot of the immigrants coming in and causing crimes? I think that the answer to that is yes. And I think the answer to all the other questions is yes. So just as with the last few statistics, I think the answer is really some combination of all of these things, as well as probably a couple more that all add up to the fact that there's a lot of crime coming from just a small percentage of the population. And that, of course, leads to problems, and it leads to lack of safety. Really, where you want to go when you're trying to figure out a place where you want to live, the number one thing is, are you safe? Like, are you going to risk getting jumped on the street, or get your car jacked, or getting your house robbed by living in a certain place? And a lot of places in America, you just have to say that it's too high of a risk to live there at all, because of the amount of crime that is there. Like place like Memphis, for example, is just a mess. Detroit is just a mess. Obviously, New York and a lot of places in New York. Obviously, you go to the south side of Chicago. It's like the fact that these cultures are there and so many people are falling into these lives just really without a choice. It really does illustrate the fact that this could be an easily solvable issue if we put in the right measures in place and we put in the right cultures in place. But it's not solved, and it's probably super far away from being solved. Like, you're telling me you can cut down crime by like 40% if you just help the marginalized communities? But they're choosing not to? The governments are choosing not to? Listen, man, I'm not trying to point you in one direction or another, but I think if you look at that from a logical perspective, it's very easy to look at your governments and lose trust in them. That's all I'm going to say on that regard. I'm not going to go so deep into that, but just know that perhaps, maybe, the people running the countries want these things to happen because they want the countries to fall. Maybe. Just, ponder that thought. And when you look at this crazy statistic, and you could say, you can remove 40 to 60% of the crime if you just help the marginalized people, and they're not being helped. So, just take that in, right? Take that in. And it's not just an American problem. I can assure you that it is a problem, probably not as bad, but similarly to countries in Europe, to the UK, to Canada, basically the West, right? Just leave. I'll leave this statistic and this analysis with that thought that maybe it's like this because the governments want it to be like this. And the final statistic, and this one's going to tie to the first two specifically, between 2003 to 2024, the amount of people that attend or host social events went down by 50%. So, of course, this goes back to the lack of sex, the lack of socialization, the increased isolation, down 50%. That is monstrous. That is a monstrous stat. Like in comparison to the amount of people going and socializing in 2003, half of that number are what is happening now in Gen Z time. Because, the reason why? Social media, very easy. Everything's online. It's easy for you to stay at home, easy to be isolated. It's the same thing. But we as humans, we all have that internal need for socialization, and you try to replace it with online, but really it just doesn't satisfy you as much as actually going out and talking and meeting new people and just having a good time, right? but it's down 50%, man. Double the amount of people in 2003 than what we have today. And it is the biggest reason, in my opinion, is absolutely down to social media and social influence and just increased isolation. And it's the same reason why there's less sex, the same reason why people aren't showing up to dating events in New York is the same reason why social events, the amount of people going through social events. And I imagine that number is only lower in 2026 than in 2024. It's been almost 2 years. I'm hoping that we're going to start moving in a better direction. I'm hoping that a lot of Gen Z, specifically Gen Z men, because I'm a guy and that's what I speak to, that we wake the hell up, man. Just wake the hell up and realize just how much these screens, the TV, Netflix shows are just destroying you. And they're destroying your innate human potential to go out and socialize and have a good time. How much potential you're leaving on the table because of these stupidities, these addictions to your screens. So wake up, man. Wake up. And as I said before, try and get outside your house every day, at least once a day, and slowly you can build up to going to more social events and to going and being more comfortable and talking to more people and truly experiencing life more than just being inside of your house. Because again, they want us weak. The people running the world want us weak. So don't be weak. Defy all of those things that are there purposely to keep you hooked. Defy them. Delete Instagram. Turn the TV off. Unplug it. Get outside. Get some fresh air. And meet new people. Go to social events. You don't have to host them. Hosting is a part of this statistic, but you don't have to host them. There's so many events. You just have to go and look for them. And you can find other people that kind of share that same mentality that it is better to be outside than inside. Out there. And you can meet many great people. So go and do it, man. Go and do it. Wake up. Stop being inside. I'm sorry that this has turned into some motivational type of inspirational thing, but this is a big, big problem with society today. So many people are just stuck inside. They're stuck inside. So get out there, man. Get out there. Go. Stop letting these statistics get worse and worse and worse. Are you going to say in 10 years from now, only 20% of people will ever go to social events? Are you kidding me, dude? That is a recipe for society to just completely be destroyed. And it becomes completely individualistic. We forget all about what makes us human and what God has instilled in us to make us human. We forget about all that and we just focus on being so isolated and so stuck within ourselves. You're telling me in 10 years from now, that number is going to be 20%? And you're just going to go outside in the streets and it's going to be ghost towns because everyone's stuck in their houses? Everyone's truly stuck in there. And as I said before, there are the conspiracy theories about the 15-minute cities. I don't even think that is what the goal is. I think it's not even a 15-minute city. They being the people that run the world, they want it to be even worse than that. They want you to just stay in your house. Why do you need a 15-minute city? It can just be literally a minute, which is the time it takes you to walk around your house or even just walk around your basement. So it's a problem, and these stats really show just how much of a problem it is. You either become someone who is stuck in your house all day, or you become someone that starts a life of crime, or you become someone who is then you look all the immigrants that are coming in and living great lives, and you look at them and you feel jealous. But maybe the problem is just you. It's not the crime statistics, it's not the immigrants. Maybe it's just you, that you have to make that change to get out there. Realize just how bad it is for you to be by yourself all the time. And you will find that you can really live a great life, a fruitful life, and an amazing experience if you go out more. I've traveled, I've been to Europe, I was out there trying to become a pro footballer, I've been to other places around the world. Obviously, I've done a few things, but I myself am even feeling guilty talking about these things because I myself feel like I should do even more than what I am doing. I feel like myself, I spend too much time downstairs in the basement, albeit, I'm recording this podcast in the basement and some other work that I get done in the basement, but also a lot of stuff that isn't work. So for myself, I have to do better, but I think I still have it better than the vast majority of people. You can just look at the statistics and it is daunting. So as I end off this episode in this kind of just I don't know, you want to call it anger? You want to call it anger. I'm trying to give up anger for Lent, but this is a problem that we are dealing with in society, And the people that run the world want us weak. They want us alone and isolated so that the world can crumble and they can just keep going and doing their schemes and have complete and utter control over the population. And the way you go against that is, first of all, to believe in God, and of course, to go out and go against what they are telling you to do. So go outside and be social and talk to people and attend events and meet people and go do things, travel and experience many different things of the world, instead of being stuck inside of your basement all day, every day. That is the biggest thing that will solve the vast majority of these issues. The first statistic, the second statistic, and the fifth statistic. Even the fourth statistic can probably be solved by positive social interaction rather than the crime. I mean, it's hard. It's harder. It's a lot more complicated, but it can there's definitely a level that can be solved. And maybe the number can go down by 5%. And we want to be seeing positive change, but right now we're not seeing changes in the positive direction. So get outside, go and do things, experience the life. You don't have to be inside all day playing video games. Go outside and do it. And that is my message, and that is what I will leave you off with. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something, and I hope that you feel inspired to get the hell out of your house today. Man, that just pissed me off. So I'm sorry for going a little too far over it there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you for watching this episode and for going through my shenanigans and my little stupidities. But I'm really trying to get the point home, man. Go outside every day and be social, because that goes against all of what the people running the world want you to be. And being isolated will just lead you to despair. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I want you to click off of this video and get outside. Just go for a 5-minute walk. Start with that. Walk around the block a couple of times. Start with that and work your way up. That's all I got to say for today. So subscribe if you are new and follow on Spotify if you haven't yet. Like the video, show your support. I appreciate you for being here, for watching this episode of the 365 podcast. And as always, I will see you tomorrow for the next one.